Hey guys, and welcome to the third compilation of Semajically AI. This will be for episodes 15 to 21. And now, let's get on with the show, shall we? Enjoy these episodes.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Semajically AI. This is the 15th episode, and head over to the United States for our next story, the Bennett family. Steve and Julie Bennett were a happily married American couple with two daughters, 12-year-old Marcia and 10-year-old Melanie. They loved both their daughters very much. The unique thing about Marcia wasn't the fact she had red hair and wore all red clothes, but was the fact she had all sorts of special powers. Laser vision, super strength, a healing factor, super hearing, and divination being some of them. She didn't use them very much for her own safety as well as theirs. They didn't know or understand where these abilities came from, or how their 12-year-old daughter had developed them. Steve's younger brother Eric thought his oldest niece may not have been born on Earth, as did his wife Jenny and their daughter Erica. So they all walked into the woods Steve and Julie were walking through when they found Marcia as a baby. That's when they stumbled upon a space vessel parked among the trees and boarded to investigate it. Marcia remembered being in a protective space pod, and discovered an open space pod, which gave her a flashback to being in there as a baby. Steve joined her at the pod. "That's the space pod your mom and I found you in as a baby," he told her. She was shocked to learn she was an orphaned alien who was adopted as a baby. This must be the origin of her special powers. She was a member of an alien race, but which one? It didn't make a difference in the slightest, as she was their daughter, and nothing would change that. It didn't matter what genetics said, as Steve and Julie had adopted her when she needed someone, and raised her as a daughter for the last 12 years. They loved her very much, and she loved them too, and appreciated everything they'd done for her.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Semajically AI. This is the 16th episode, and tonight's story is Sweet Dreams. A mother was putting her children to bed one night, and was telling them one of her famous stories. Just as she finished the story, she tucked them in and checked them for any sneaky sweet treats. Her son Daniel was clean, not having snuck any sweets, but caught her daughter Cyan packing a stash of sneaky treats after finding a hoard of them in the toy box under her bed. "I'm sorry, Cyan, but I'm confiscating these. No sweets before bed. You'll have nightmares," she told her kindly. She kissed her children goodnight, wished them sweet dreams, and went to put the stolen sweets back on the shelves. She owned a sweet shop, and they lived in a flat above the shop. As the children slept, they found themselves in a land composed entirely of sweets and sugary snacks and drinks. However, these snacks and treats were anthropomorphic and human-sized, as if they were people in costumes. The houses were built from solid bricks of light and dark chocolate cemented with white chocolate, and the people who lived there, well, there were the aforementioned anthropomorphic fizzy drinks and snacks, but there were also giant jelly people working and playing. Gummy mothers were taking their jelly babies for walks, and each jelly baby had its own gummy bear. They met people made of chocolate, jelly, ice cream, and baked goods such as cakes and cookies. This meant they couldn't eat anyone because that would count as murder and cannibalism in this world. And taking a bite out of anything would count as vandalism, so they walked carefully in an attempt not to accidentally destroy anything. At this point, they were noticed by a hungry candy kid and found themselves on the run. As they were chased by this candy kid, they tripped over but didn't hurt themselves, because they woke up in bed to find their mother sitting there, looking worried. She assured them it was just a dream and comforted.
Hello there, and welcome back to Semajically AI. This is the 17th episode, and we have another story for you. It's time for First Day from Hell. Autumn had arrived in Midhampton, and the kids were returning to school after 6 long weeks off, and everyone had moved up a year.
As a new Year 10 at Midhampton High School, I had been made a lower senior prefect and was very proud of that fact.
This granted her a certain degree of authority over students, which she could hand out discipline cards and points for good behavior as deducting them for bad.
I was settling into my new tutor room in Professor Jack Terrence's science lab next to my best friend Sahara Johnson, while Professor Terrence took roll call. It's going to be an interesting year, Lily, don't you think?
It was as the assembly bell rang that she was needed to help lead the Year 7s to the auditorium and show them to their seats at the front of the crowd before taking her spot on the stage by the headmaster's podium as he stepped out to give his usual welcoming speech. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new year at Midhampton High School. It certainly is nice to see you all back and ready to learn more. Welcome to our new pupils in Year 7. We hope the next 7 years will be your happiest yet, he said just before an unruly year. 8 boy made booing noises, so Lily has to remove him from the auditorium.
What on earth do you think you're playing at, Joa Vincent? That was very rude of you to boo the head like that. I want to see you in detention this morning, break time in the quiet room. I'm on detention duty this morning.
She scolded before placing him in the quiet room until the bell to signal the beginning of classes rang. During that day, she had to sort out problems with misbehaving children and bullying, and even had to get clearance to give an after-school detention. It was turning into the first day from hell, as she couldn't get a moment's peace until she was at home that evening. She was so stressed out it got her upset enough to cry, and Millie and James tried everything they could to comfort her. Her 25-year-old sister Romana was even unsuccessful in calming her down, as was her 20-year-old brother Roscoe, unfortunately, so they just left her alone until she was calm enough to be around them. Hey guys, and welcome back to Semajically AI. This is the 18th episode, and now it's time for our third sequel episode. I Give You, The School Settles Down. 1 week had passed since the start of the new school year, and everybody was just now getting settled in. Lily Barat was still a lower senior prefect and was in a maths class at the moment studying algebra. As she was in year 10 now, this was a GCSE maths class, and she was in a higher skill set due to her abilities in her classes. She was one of the smartest students in her class, and this had been noticed by not only the school but the examination board as well. Ever since she'd started at Midhampton High, she had been a hard worker, and her behavior was always the best any student had ever displayed. In all her time there, she had never been in any trouble or any fights. The break bell rang, and she went out to monitor the playground as part of her prefect duties. As she patrolled the playground, keeping her eyes peeled for any sign of trouble, but right now there wasn't any. It wasn't long before she heard 2 Year 7 boys having a disagreement over their opinions of the hit new children's cartoon, The Wonderful World of Wilbur, with one questioning the logic behind the world the show took place in, and the other arguing that it was a fictional world, it didn't need real-world logic applied to it. She stepped in to defuse the situation before it escalated any further. She listened to both sides of their argument and thought carefully before delivering her judgment. Well, boys, I must say you're being rather silly to be having an argument over something so trivial as different opinions of a television series. Who cares if one of you likes it and the other doesn't? It's not worth falling out over, she told them. What should we do, Lily? Asked the boys. I suggest you both make up for this silliness and forget about it, Lily told them. The boys knew she was a very fair-minded person and didn't dare ignore her, so shook hands and made up. Thanks, Lily, they said. That's all right, boys. If I catch you arguing about something so trivial again, I will have to discipline you, Lily warned them. Mr. Turner approached her to congratulate her on the fair way she just handled the situation just then and agreed with her methods. As he went off to see a group of Year 9s, she was approached by another Year 7 boy. His name was Jerry Daxon. She listened to him and thought carefully before giving him her guidance. It sounds to me like you still need help settling in. Haven't you got any friends? She said. No, I haven't, replied Jerry. Why not? Asked Lily. No one in my year wants to be my friends, Jerry told her. Why ever not? Asked Lily, feeling sorry for him. They think I'm a jerk, he told her. Lily was shocked by what she'd just heard. What? They said that? She exclaimed. Yeah, kind of, he replied. Lily thought about it for a moment and then took Jerry to see his classmates about what they thought about him. She asked them to explain why they thought he was a jerk. Wait a minute, we don't think he's a jerk, Lily. We think he's a joke, Jack Sims told her. Why do you think he's a joke? Asked Lily. We think he's a joke because he's too shy to make friends with us, Maisie Gray told her. Lily looked from them to Jerry very thoughtfully. It looks like somebody got the wrong end of the stick, she said fairly, looking at Jerry. Knowing there was no point arguing about it, Jerry joined his classmates and apologized to them. Lily apologized too for jumping to conclusions, realizing her mistake. "Everyone makes mistakes, nobody's perfect," said a voice behind her. She jumped and swiveled round to find the headmaster standing behind her. "Oh my gosh, sir, you made me jump," she exclaimed in Semajically AI. Episode 19. The day the town went silent. It was a normal day in the town of Midhampton, as everyone was busy doing their day-to-day activities. The town postman, Simon Hermison, was delivering letters and parcels to the locals.
And yes, I work for the Hermes Postage Company.
Some people thought he might be the Greek messenger god working undercover as a modern-day British postman. At the local leisure centre, Ty Donovan was busy working as a lifeguard at the swimming pool, as this was his job during term time.
I'd just pulled a child out of the water after I'd spotted her drowning and performed CPR on her.
He was relieved she was all right, but still sent her to the hospital to make sure she was going to be okay.
I keep a trident in my office, which makes people think I'm actually Poseidon, Greek god of the sea, working undercover as a modern-day British lifeguard.
At Midhampton High School, staff and pupils were busy teaching and learning.
There was their headmaster, Mr. Zeusman, who was seeing a student who was in trouble.
He kept a staff that looked like a bolt of lightning in his office, leading others to suspect he might be Zeus, king of the Greek gods, working undercover as their headmaster. It was then that something happened to make the whole town go silent. This was strange, as nothing like this had ever happened before. Nobody made a sound and no traffic passed by outside. Not a bird was chirping and not a plane or helicopter flew overhead. What was going on? It was like someone had pressed a giant mute button on them. There was no way to tell how long this was going on, as all the clocks had stopped as well. Everyone was frozen in time, and obviously nobody knew why or how this was happening. Before long, things went back to normal, but there was a strange boy standing in the middle of the corridor who certainly hadn't been there before. He was holding a golden antique pocket watch, which nobody noticed because he pocketed it before anyone could.
Who are you, young man?
The deputy head teacher, Mrs. Harriston, asked him, and it alone made others think she was Hera, queen of the Greek goddesses. Lower senior prefect Lily Barrett was acting on her duties, making sure the corridors were clear.
As she finished up, she went to her GCSE drama class with Mr. Capaldi, the teacher of the GCSE drama course, seemingly unfazed by what had just happened, as if she hadn't noticed. Semajically AI, Episode 20. Time-tossed, Bessie's bizarre adventure in the Stone Age. Bessie Turner was a young woman who was enthralled by history and worked as a tour guide at the Natural History Museum. She was in her element telling a group of A-level history students about the dinosaurs and how badly savage they were. She was telling them about how the dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago and how they were wiped out by a comet. As she moved on to tell them about the cave people who lived during the Stone Age, she marveled at how short their life expectancy was. Their life expectancy was about 30 years. Imagine that, she told them enthusiastically. It was then that an anvil gave way and hit her in the head, knocking her unconscious. She began to see flashes of her life before blacking out completely. When she regained consciousness, she sat up and looked around in confusion to find herself sitting in a stony landscape. She stood up, not sure she believed what she was seeing. As she walked over to a rock to investigate, she found she could touch it. What's going on here? I can touch this rock. Is this real or is it just in my head? She thought to herself as she went looking for help to determine what was going on. Everything looked like it was how things looked in the Stone Age, about 100,000 years before Jesus was born. Could it be? Have I really been catapulted back to the Stone Age? She thought as she stumbled upon a tribe of cave people gathered around a rock. This confirmed her suspicions beyond all reasonable doubt. She had indeed accidentally travelled back in time to the Stone Age. How could it not be? She was staring at a cave tribe. She ran for it as she was spotted by the tribe leader. As she ran, her trainers made fiery tracks on the sand. She stopped running as she came to a lake and decided to go in for a swim. The caveman who had followed her watched her for a second before staring around himself to see flames forming around him. Realizing what she'd done, Bessie rushed to his aid, putting out the flames. Now she'd gone back to the Stone Age, met a caveman, helped him to discover fire and invented a way to put it out, becoming the first ever firefighter. She then saw a light and woke up in a hospital bed in 2024, only to hear the nurse offering to put the Bessie on. "What's the Bessie?" she asked. "It's the fire, love," replied the nurse. A team of firefighters came rushing past the ward. "It's the Turner Squad," said the nurse. "Turner Squad?" asked Bessie. "Fire service," replied the nurse. And then she suddenly remembered having been thrown back to the Stone Age, caused a fire with her shoes and put out the fire with some water. "Of course," she blurted out, causing a stir around the ward.
Semajically AI, Episode 21, The Ogre Teacher. When I was in primary school and in the first half of Year 6, I had this teacher who was one of the worst teachers in the school. Her name was Yvette Rickman, and she was a right foul woman. Well, to put it correctly, she was nice to you when in a good mood. But it was when she was in a bad mood her true nature would show itself. She was a right ogre who would get cross with you for anything, including accidentally wringing a cloth on the floor. Here are some instances of that happening to me. The mosaic. We were learning about ancient Rome and the art of the mosaic, and she said we could make a mosaic of whatever we wanted. When she saw I was designing a mosaic of Poe from Teletubbies, she turned into the ogre and shouted at me, "What are you doing? That's not a mosaic." So I was forced to change it to a man. How petty and unfair was that? I didn't deserve to be yelled at for that. Following doctor's orders, what some of you might not know is that I have no hearing in my left ear. Well, when I was 10, I was about to have the grommets put in my ears, and the doctor had forbidden me to go near water, which meant I wasn't allowed to go swimming. Most of the teachers understood this and were very nice about it, but not Yvette Rickman, oh no. When she learned of this, she turned into her true form of an ogre and threw me in the timeout corner saying, "At Glenwood, you will have to go swimming, grommets or not. They'll just say, 'Get in there, boy.'" After a while of silence, she followed it up with, "Wimp." Then, seeing I was upset, she ended it by saying, "It proves what a baby you are. I'm exaggerating the parts in the stories where she became an ogre. But I'm not exaggerating the dialogue. It was what she actually said to me." So, can I ask, how exactly did that make me a wimp and prove what a baby I was? Well, it didn't. What it did prove was that this woman hated children, so why was she in a job that required her to teach and look after them? I was just following the doctor's orders. Disclaimer: Yvette Rickman wasn't actually the teacher's name. I'm just using it as a placeholder to keep her anonymous for her own safety.
And that, my friends, was episodes 15 to 21 of Semajically AI, or Series 1 Part 3 if you prefer. The next compilation of these episodes is coming soon, but until then, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and have a magical time.